101.7 Citizen FM.
My name is Lawrence Almighty. Welcome to the show. It's a beautiful Monday morning. The sky is battling. It's not our concern for now. So we Nigerian Tribune, and it has its charitable. That's from the Senator, former President Olusegun Obasanjo. And still staying with that, you have been warned. This is coming from the NYSC. And we still have the story, local government chairman, councillors to enjoy 4-year tenure. Supreme Court, that's from the Supreme Court. Still staying on the front page of the Tribune, Akwa Ibom PDP elects new ESCO's national delegate. Those are some of the headlines you can find on the front page of the Tribune. All right, from the Tribune, we head up to the Punch newspapers, and this is the major headline on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Dangote Petrol, marketers wait. Weapon, Edo opposition party at war over federal government rise. And we also have the story, hunger protests. Police begin trial of 1,135 detained demonstrators. Local government autonomy, APC, PDP clash over Supreme Court judgment. Okay. So, court extend Lagos abductors of 3 in Anambra community. Workers nabbed as fire guards multi-billion naira LG warehouse. Probe begins as worker dies after jumping into melting pot. That's a sad story that has been trending in the last 3 days. Lagos retiree accuses church of demolishing apartment, seeks help. 7 family members die of food poisoning in Sokoto. Those are the part is next. 1 trillion naira subsidy. AI at billion. NDIC reimburses Heritage Bank customers with less than 5 million naira deposits. Regulators endorse ministerial committee's agenda to end building collapse. Naira in equities. Senate NNPCL says. And still staying with the Guardian newspaper, National Assembly pushes back on pay storm as Obi others flee cost of governance. Multinationals exit calls for strengthening of domestic market, says Imokwide. Federal government to offer Bauchi housing scheme to Air Force officers. And still staying with the bureaucracy. NDLEA recovers multi-billion naira drugs in nationwide raid. Many regulations will hamper business. CPPE warns. Police press cultism, cybercrime charges against protesters. Ondo State Governor Guba candidate alleges. Goods worth millions of naira destroyed in Lagos midnight fire. Very sad story there. Be committed to Tinubu's success, APC chieftain charges governors. Well, those are some of the headlines you can find on the front page of the Guardian newspapers. And the Nation newspaper is next. 573 billion naira fund. Presidency replies governors. CJN and JC meets this week on Arewala's exit and replacement. Federal government deploys 10,000 agro rangers to boost food security amidst insecurity concerns. Still staying with the Nation newspaper, North has tolerated too much poverty, corruption. Who is saying that? Vice President Shettima. NLC rejects police explanation on action at its headquarters. Okay, these are some of the headlines you can find on the front page of the Nation newspapers. The Daily Trust is next. Why protests fell below expectation. Yobe launches new research on kidney disease in Gojo. Germany to partner Enugu on agri, energy and others. Story there. Okay, those are some of the headlines you can find on the front page of Daily Trust newspapers. And next is the Vanguard newspapers. Heritage Bank NDIC reimburses 82.36% of customers with less than 5 million naira deposit. Salary present reps different from Obasanjo's era. More car owners trade big cars for fuel-efficient, smaller ones. 10 dead in Abia truck accident. Journalist Adeyanju. And still staying with the Vanguard newspaper. Edo SSG Ogie bows out. How Buhari blocked my bid to purchase oil field in Lumelu. PDP NWC wades into Kogi chapter crisis, writes caretaker committee. Those are some of the headlines you can find on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. And we move straight on to the Tribune newspapers. Okay, I think we have taken the Tribune before, and let's narrow or two. Okay, some of the stories here. Ododo commends Tinubu over establishment of Renewable Energy College. Kekere set to emerge Nigeria's acting CGN. 70,000 naira minimum wage. Governors set up implementation committee. All right, those are some of the headlines we could take in the papers today. We'll take half of the show where we unveil our guests and look at some of the stories in detail. It's still newspaper review on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja. Please don't go away.
The issues. Everybody respected that because it was coming from the president.
Theory behind it, the way the people took the battle in their hands.
Some civil servant retire without a roof over his head.
The cause.
If we cannot trust you, then you cannot take the ticket of this country. Hussein cannot be divulged from those who cause the crime. Honestly.
The passion.
You must have national spread. So where is it?
Why are you so concerned about that?
He said money was.
I never.
No.
The platform is always the same.
Insight on Citizen FM 93.7.
The source is constant.
My name is Lawrence Umoite.
There is always an opportunity.
Tomorrow, Insight returns with another interesting.
Insight with Lawrence Umweti on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja. Be part of the experience.
Which kind tori una wan hear on top radio? Wetin dey catch fire on top social media? Bring am on top Make We Talk Am for the fight. Make we talk am as e dey be.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. Still, lines are open now. You can join the discussion. You can call us on 0903 2229 797. You can also call us on 0818 2222 205 or 00 Citizen 9.
Our super citizen listeners.
All right, Mrs. Salami, we have quite a number of stories, but we start from The Guardian. From The Nation newspapers. 573 billion naira fund. Presidency replies governors. The presidency cleared the air yesterday on the controversy over the 573 billion naira received by state. It said the fund is a World Bank loan, which the federal government loan should not be at the center of discussion. Clarification was made through a senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Temitope Achai. And there's a quote there. He said, I think the issue is not whether it is a loan or a grant. The point, as clearly stated in the president's broadcast, is that the states got money. The amount, which is the second tranche under the COVID-19 Livelihood Support Scheme under the Nigerian Care Program funded by the World Bank, is 570 billion naira. Mr. Salami, this has been in the news since the president's broadcast.
Yeah, yes, it has been in the news, and it is. I say this: the amount that on what he did. In actual fact, they are not only destroying, but they have removed the foundation. Perhaps this was what hacked the federal government and warranted this response as to the money given to the states, that it is not a loan but a grant. It has to be. The important thing is, what are you doing with the money? Mm-hmm. Over the years, we have felt the impact. And this is where my feedback for money borrowed with little or no impact. I plead, just as Lawrence has said that he doesn't know when I will join the prophets. I still plead that in whatever we do, let us fear God. At the end of the day, we will give account of what we have done. And if you have been lucky in life that you have the special privilege of presiding over the affairs of this country, it's a real privilege. And I keep on talking about public trust, public office. Public office is a trust. Please do not betray the trust.
Well, okay. I think that the controversy emanated from the impression a lot of people got that money was given to the states by the federal government. And that is why some of the governors were quick to point at that and that, look, we have not received any of these monies from the federal government. And if you know the second tranche of it, but for me, I think the most important thing is for citizens to ask questions, to monitor the implementation. Thank God, part of the requirements for before these loans were disbursed was that these monies were tied to specific projects. So citizens need to know through their representatives, through their leaders, how the government, because it was not just a blanket loan given to the state. It was tied to specific problems, some in healthcare, some in education, some in infrastructure, and stuff like that. So this is the time to ask questions. This is the time to find out if there was a project that was supposed to be implemented from this money in your constituency. This is the time to hold people to account. How to say, this money is given to our state, we don't know what it is. You need to find out. You need to know in specific, so that when you ask questions, you'll be asking from a point of intelligence because you have done your homework.
But Lawrence, must we continue to go to Bretton Woods? Must we continue to borrow from IMF? Experience has shown that the IMF loan is with its conditionalities has not worked for our people. You remember what happened during the military president, IBB? It resulted in a structural adjustment program. During President Shehu Shagari, it was austerity measure. At the end of the day, it was clear that it was an ill wind. It never blew us any good. I think there is the need for us to rethink.
That is neither here nor there. If we are not able to take care of our country and we decide to go borrowing, then you need to accept the conditionalities that are attached to it. I don't blame the Western countries for this, because you went to them in the first place. If you were able to fix your country by yourself, you wouldn't need these people, because they are not, as we say, Father Christmas. They have their own interests. Their first interest is not to help you fix your own country. No, their first interest is for you to come and borrow. And let's look inward if we don't want to go borrowing next time.
Then need I say that he who goes are borrowing.
Goes are sorry. Anyway, all right. Mr. Salami, let's still stay with the nation. Arewala as the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Justice Arewala is billed to formally vacate office on August the 22nd upon attaining a retirement age of 70 years. He became CJN on October 12, 2022. The Supreme Court has already scheduled a valedictory court session in his honor. The Nation newspaper learns at the NJC yesterday that it's mandatory that the NJC meets and decide on who to recommend to the president as acting CJN pending the appointment of a substantive one. And Mr. Salami, by the laws of the Supreme Court, Justice Kekere Ekun is next in line, and bearing any radical change or anything, it's expected that her name will be forwarded to the president to become acting. And if this is done, she will become the second female to occupy that exalted position. And from there, if 4 years, because currently she's 66 years now?
There are two curious things that happened in public service, in the public space. About to retire on the 22nd of August. And the CJN of Nigeria too will exit the hallowed chambers on the 22nd of August, rather, I mean to say, not October, August. Well, the good thing is that in the judiciary, just like in ascension to the stool of Olubadan of Ibadan, you know exactly who is
there's a queue.
There is a queue. You know who is next. Barring, but I think it is good because it has preserved the judiciary from unnecessary politics. Enough. But more than that, I think it is not enough to assume office as the CJN of Nigeria based on seniority. I would rather want a situation whereby competence and profundity, and more than that, integrity, and we know ourselves. If we sit on the bench at the Supreme Court, we know who is to Kayode Esho and Oputa. They were the uncrowned chief justices of this country. Perhaps if they had men that would have changed radically and satisfactorily the cost of justice, that let's have a rethink on who becomes the CJN. Yes, you respect hierarchy. I agree. We should respect more the depth of their knowledge of the law and integrity. If you are my senior and you are known without any innuendo not to be upright or not to have a very, very deep and robust knowledge of the law, even though there is no way you make it to the Supreme Court without understanding the law, even despite that, we still know that all animals are equal, but some are more equal. This is just my musing.
All right.
This is random musing.
All right. Well, I think you are entitled to that. Apart from being a Nigerian, you've also paid your dues. That the framers of our constitution, the framers of the Supreme Court laws, we're trying to be careful because if you say, let's look at the other variable. Let's look at the other variables. Who would decide who is a better justice? Who is going to decide who is more sound than the other? They didn't want perhaps to give that powers to somebody who will, at any point in time, don't forget that we all have our interest. And at any time, if you say somebody should do this, you may get a situation where the appointing authority can decide to pick somebody who just entered today and say, oh, he's brilliant, is this, is that. And besides, the duties of a CJN goes just beyond sitting on the donkey. Let's just make it progression. For example, Justice Kekereekun has been in the Supreme Court for 20 years now. So by any standard, you cannot say, I'm just saying, I didn't say you said that, but by any standard, no one can question her knowledge of the law, her knowledge of administration and everything. But there are sometimes the hierarchy is not automatic. There are some times that if it is found out that such a person who is next in turn has something that will make his or her ascension to that position untenable, the Senate is there, the NJS is there to say no, based on this and this and this fact, you cannot be to exploit any loopholes in our law to our favors at the end of the day. All right, still staying with the Nation newspaper, Mr. Salami, there's a story here. North has tolerated too much poverty, corruption, says Shettima. Vice President Kashim Shettima yesterday blamed the vandalism of infrastructure and looting of public and private facilities in some parts of the North by protesters to poor leadership, corruption, and poverty in the region. The Vice President said toleration of the social vices for too long resulted to breeding of new crop of generation without fear of God and respect for the laws of the land by those who participated in the nationwide protest against economic hardship. Shettima, who noted that the accumulation of too many problems accounted for the destruction of lives and property, admitted the need for a complete overhaul of the system. Mr. Salam.
I read it and I shuddered. That is this not blue murder? Coming from the mouth of the vice president, it tells a lot about we are in the north.
Exactly.
We know that there are more of out of school children than in the south. There is grinding poverty in the north more than in the south. It is not too difficult to know that there are girl mothers, forced marriages is more prevalent in the north than in the south. This is not to be an indictment. It's my observation, having stayed in the north for over 25 or 27 years. It's not an indictment. It is just that it's peculiar here. Of course, the South too has its own tons of social vices. To know that the North has been in power, or had been in power for a long time more than the South. What I mean by this is to be the head of the federal government. And of course, you have more local governments in the north.
And more states.
And more states, thank you very much, in the north than in the south. From all we have said, quite a lot of money that the humongous amount of money is found its way into the north. We know what Sardauna, Sir Ahmadu Bello, what he did for the north. How he prioritized education, irrespective of which part of the north you were from. That was why the likes of Sarwan Taka was very close to his government. The Aro of Mokpa, Chief Sunday Adeni, was his secretary. Chief Sunday Awoni was Sunday Awoni Hausa man. Awoni. Sardauna, Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sardauna of Sokoto, was intentional, and he was a visionary leader, and he was particular about education. He prioritized education. Up till tomorrow, we have not seen forming in the southwest, and ditto on a rivalry, if you will call it, because the Great Ife, Sir Ahmadu Bello was doing something, and ditto Michael Opara. Apart from the UI, they still remain locals, classicals. not only in the area of education alone, but in other areas. It was as a result of the sage in the southwest, Babafemi Awolowo, did the same thing. The cocoa house was built from the proceeds of cocoa. What I'm saying in effect before, child or ward in the home of one malam, and the next thing is that a will be turned into an almajiri. Almajiri concept is not in itself and by itself bad, because almajiri means a learner, somebody who is a student. But we all know who an almajiri is now. There is the need to rethink the concept of almajirism. There is the need for the North to look inward and reduce the numbers of these out-of-school children. It is not in our interest. There is no religion that says that you should marry an underage. They don't do it with their own children. The elite that I know, they don't. And just as Babalo said that, the children of those you refused to send to school will not allow your own children to have peace. Are we not seeing it today? Let us always appreciate the unintended consequences of our action and inaction. The almajiris, the urchins, the street beggars of today, they are the veritable nuisance of tomorrow. It is very easy to recruit kidnappers from the pool of such people. Just as it is very, very readily, they are readily accessible and available to be recruited into Boko Haram or what we are seeing today is a consequence of our neglect of these young children. This is not the way to go. Let us change the narrative. It's for the betterment of this country, and let us remember that injustice for one is injustice for all.
All right, you can join the discussion. The phone numbers are still open. The lines are open, 0903 2229797. You can also call us on 0818 2222205 or 0818 2222206. Not forgetting that you can send us a WhatsApp message on any of the numbers. It's still newspaper review on Citizen 93.7 FM here in Abuja. Mr. Salami, let's move on to the Guardian newspapers. Electricity tariff may spike over weak fiscal position, 2.1 trillion naira subsidy. Okay, so what is the story saying? Let's see. Nigeria's weak fiscal position is compounded by 2.1 trillion naira electricity subsidy, which the crisis-ridden power sector will pass to the federal government this year. In the first 3 months of the year, the country had incurred 633.56 billion naira to 170 billion naira in the face of weakening domestic currency, inflation, and increased gas price. While the electricity tariff was adjusted earlier this year, with Band A customers currently paying regulatory commission. Is my grammar is that very soon, based on the prevailing circumstances, we may witness hike in electricity.
There is subsidy on it. What precisely are we subsidizing? Lawrence, let's leave it at that. We'll bring an expert to come and talk to our people on this.
All right. While we wait for that day, Mrs. Alami, let's still stay with the Guardian newspaper. Food imports gulps $1.2 billion in 6 months. The escalating food prices are what importation of food between the last quarter of 2023 and the first quarter of this year. This is contained in the sectorial utilization of forex contained in the quarterly statistics bulletin of the CBN. The data shows that in the last quarter of 2023, $493 million was spent on food importation. The figure rose to $689 million in the first quarter. Mrs. Salami. Billion, not naira. $1 billion
on food importation
in 6 months.
Where was the food imported to? Adding up. And there is the need for us to have a conversation around this. There is no way we will be spending our hard-earned foreign in this manner. We have spent this country. Lawrence, this is scandalous. And I think there is the need for us to be deliberate and intentional about this. I will call on the National Assembly to please have a public hearing on what happened to the money spent, purportedly spent on this food importation. There is no way you will spend that much, and yet we will be going through what we are going through. Don't forget that there is a waiver now. Are you aware?
Yeah.
There is a waiver
By
now.
Mr. President.
By Mr. President for the next 6 months. I hope they are not at work again. You know what I'm talking about. There is the need for the National Assembly to beam a searchlight on what is going on. This is scandalous, and we are saying this with all sense of responsibility. There is no way we will spend the said amount of dollars on importation of food, and yet there is still this food scarcity in the land. Once again, I call on Senator Akpabio and Dr. Tajuddin Abbas to please beam the searchlight on this.
Okay, Mr. Salami, while we do that, what happens to the states? What are the states doing? Because essentially at the end of the day, whatever we decide at the National Assembly is going to be implemented in the states. What are we doing, local governments? What exactly are the policies of the state across board over in the last 10, 15 years? How much have we invested in real terms in agriculture? I'm not talking about those kind of white elephants project in that sector. I'm talking about projects that will have impacts on the people, short term, long term. What have we done in the last 15 years?
Lawrence, any country that cannot feed a citizen is a big problem. Travel from Abuja to the southwest or to the north to any part of this country. You will see arable land, vast land. Our problem is just laziness. There is the need to shift attention to the land now. Do you know that Niger State is more than the whole in size? Landmass of the southeast. And it is fertile soil all through. Not only that, very, very fertile. What are we doing with this God-given mass land? If we land, we will be able to feed the need to import food in this.
So feed the continent. We can feed the world.
Wheat.
Just wheat.
Don't think that we are getting it right. The priority should be on agriculture. I want to believe that this petrodollar, we have shifted attention from the soil, and we have concentrated on the petrodollar money. Thank God that is behind.
Cutlass.
It's now agribusiness. The era has gone.
That era has gone.
Gone forever.
We are talking about
Mechanization.
highly mechanized and
Really serious and real money in agriculture. More than oil.
And the ripple effect, the employment, the number of people that will be employed, the value added that we will get. I can imagine, Mr. Salami, for example, that we have a what do you call it, a tomato processing firm in every state of the federation, and we are not just exporting raw tomatoes, we are exporting finished product we'll get in terms of foreign exchange. This is what we are talking about. We are not talking about loading tubers of yam in the ship and sending abroad. No, that era is gone. Technology, and most importantly, security. Very, very important, because all these things cannot happen if the atmosphere is not conducive.
Yes, you see, honestly, it's a misplaced priority. Do you know that the moment we got oil, we forgot completely the land? And does it make any sense that you will send cocoa raw like that abroad, and they will bring chocolate, cover that you have not gotten anything because you did not add value to it? Those people to whom you send the thing were the beneficiaries, and they are still the beneficiaries. Must we continue like this? When you continue to do the same thing, the usual thing, the usual...
All right, Mr. Salami, I think we should leave it at that. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Let's make it a day tomorrow, Mr. Salami. Thank you so much for always being on the show and giving us some very critical insight on some of the headlines. Thank you so much. Salman Salami, COO, Citizen 93.7 FM.
Thank you for having me and for spoiling my day today, because I feel so sad.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I think this should be a challenge to us. Nigerians should be a challenge to our leaders. And it should also be a challenge to us to ask critical questions. Elections are going to come around very soon, and that will be the time for you to ask critical questions. What will you do in this area, in the area of infrastructure, in the area of technology, in the area of security? What will you do as far as agriculture is concerned? So, the program returns tomorrow with another edition. My name is Lawrence Sumoiti. Enjoy the rest of your day.
stronger. Yeah. No pain, no gain. You gotta work harder. Yeah. No retreat, no surrender. Gotta matter the weather. Yeah. And by His grace.
And He's holy, but oh how He loves me. This my God. I wanna praise His name. He is wonderful. Yeah. He is beautiful. Yeah. He's so lovely. He loves me so tenderly. Onye bu nwannem, Jesus, my dinazo, my yo yo yo, my yo yo yo. When the enemy comes in like a flood, my God, He raises a banner over me, and it's love. He protects me, and He guides me. He covers me, and He hides me under the shadow of His wings. Jesus, the one my
My woman is